Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and today we continue the Westworld watch, where we've got the ugly, the beauty, and the disarray. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you, and thank you for joining me on the 242nd episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. We're breezing right through the 200s because I think we've done essentially at least 2 a week since we started it, so it's going by nice and quick. But Westworld, Season 4, Episode 5, Zhuangzi, written by Wes Humphrey and Lisa Joy, directed by Craig William McNeil, and we got a first episode and a couple written by Lisa Joy. I don't know that she's written one this season, not one that I can recall anyway, but she's an original creator of the show. As soon as I saw that name pop up in the written by at the beginning, at the end of the theme song, I went, yeah, baby. It's going to be a fucking good one. Anytime Lisa Joy, and Jonathan Nolan hasn't really been on the writing side in a couple seasons, but anytime Lisa Joy's popping up, I'm like, it's going to be a good one. And we continue the trend this week because Zhuangzi was special.
Indeed. It was very necessary episode, too. Because now, I mean, we only got 3 more episodes left to wrap this all up. I still really have no idea where it's going, if it's just going to be total war or, I don't know.
And that's the thing, because it feels like the reveals last week, the conclusions last week and stuff, that felt like end of season shit. You know what I'm saying? That didn't feel like, oh yeah, we're halfway through now. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we got a whole other half of the show. This was the first step on the other side of those reveals. And it was a good first step on the other side of those reveals. It was kind of like, all right, anything you're not 100% getting, we're going to try and clarify for you a little bit without being too exposition-y. We're still going to make stuff unclear. We're still going to make stuff vague. You're going to kind of be wondering what's going on in some places. But it'll confirm little things, things that you should have already by now. But, man, it was a goodie.
I guess what was confirmed, like Christina's life was kind of confirmed here.
Well, and here's the thing for me is that, I've been operating under the assumption she's Dolores. There are apparently a great many people who have not. And I've just kind of been like, I don't, like, the whole time in my head, this is Dolores under some sort of mind control sort of thing where she's forgotten something or whatever. But it is Dolores at her core. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the part that gets me about her storyline, is if this is all just a stepping stone into Westworld, Valley Beyond sort of stuff. This is just for them to have fun, do whatever. And Christina put herself here, and wiped her memory and everything so that she wouldn't remember whatever, so she could just have fun. Why was Hale seeming so hostile towards her? Whenever they were sitting down having lunch, Hale was just, poking. Oh, you met a guy. Who is this guy? What does he do? You seem different. What's going on with you? Is it just Is it just for the fidelity's sake? You know, she's just doing her interviews, making her rounds, you know, whatever. Because what I'm thinking now, well, no, because Hale was in the same park that Christina was in. But was that only because she was meeting her there for lunch? Anyway, the whole point I'm trying to make is that, like, is there just Westworld parks all over the world, and each host just gets, like, a city to themselves? You know, like, and Hale is just going around checking in on all these different cities, all these different hosts, like, that have their entire park to themselves, and they can set up the park in any way they want, or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm interested in how much of the world exists beyond here.
Well, how many of the, like, 38 outliers or whatever do you think have escaped and are in the
revolution and shit?
Because they said that they have to go into the desert to hide from their tracking and stuff. You know, like,
right.
Could mean that literally everywhere else, like literally everywhere else is taken over.
Yeah, man, I don't fucking know. But I'm ready to find out. Are you ready to jump into a scene-by-scene breakdown of sorts?
Yes, sir. I am ready.
All right. So, we open here, and we're with our host in black, as he's fucking with a wealthy couple at a nice little restaurant. And, you know, this guy's going on and on about a very, very typical white man with success tirade here. You know, like, yeah, of course I have privilege. Of course I've seen it. You know, like, I know this for a fact, but damn, I've worked hard to get where I'm at. I deserve every bit of it. I should not feel bad about it. And I love the hosts just always hating these motherfuckers. And you know, him being like essentially, you think that's air you're breathing right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
going
Morpheus,
full
but
Morpheus.
more of like a if Morpheus was evil.
Exactly.
You know,
Essentially hitting him with that, where he's like, "Nah, bro, you ain't done a single fucking thing. You think you have freedom? Oh no."
What's my name, friend? That was like,
yeah, that was.
He's
the
like,
point.
I just sat down 5 minutes ago because I was trying to during this whole conversation. I'm like, all right, are they hosts? Are they humans just being controlled? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure this out. And then he's like, all right, you know,
there are two teams.
I just got here, yeah,
and you're not in the one you think you are. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean they're actually hosts who think they're humans?
I think it's like a multiple meaning phrase. Like,
yeah, like
in the sense of their conversation, it was, you're not in the successful world that you think you are. You know, you're very blind to the world that you're in. And then also the host versus human, two sides of the coin, I think. But
there's
a blurred line. It's not like hard cut host and human now.
No, yeah. They're essentially the same, you know, because Charlotte Hale is treating them exactly as they got treated in the park. You know, she's not every little move they make going, all right, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. She'll stop them. She'll do what she needs. She's Ford in season 1. You know, like she'll pause them. She'll let them keep going on their loops. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll do their own shit. They'll keep doing their own thing until Hale goes, all right, now this is what I need you to do. And that's really, really fucking interesting. And I'm digging it. I'm really digging it. But Clementine interrupts this conversation here and says that he's needed elsewhere. A colleague's appetites have become unsustainable. It's like, ooh, wonder what the fuck that means. That's ominous as all hell. And Host in Black tells them not to move until he returns, and then they literally freeze. And you're like, ah, I see.
Question. If these are humans who are being controlled, to what degree what they have in their brain, I don't really care. But they're still humans at, like, the core, it seems. It seems that this storyline was supposed to be like, all right, when these people die, they die. Like, there's no bringing them back like a host. There's no little healing gun. Yeah, little healing gun thing that just magically heals you. It's like, when they're dead, but they don't really care. It's like, they're humans. We were probably going to kill them anyways. This way we can have fun with them, and when they die, whatever.
There's beauty in this world. An order.
So, like, if these people are, like, still human, like, do they still need, like, food? Or, like, if William made them sit there for, like, 3 days, do they just die?
Probably.
You know, like, because I guess they were starting to sweat and stuff, where a normal host would just, like,
be there forever.
Just, yeah, like, freeze almost. They're just chilling. But
I've got a great many questions. So, and we'll get to this more later, but
sure.
The transcending, the next step in their evolution, is it from the human to a host? Like you're opting to alter your life so that you will live forever as a host? Or is it the hosts that exist opting to evolve to whatever's next?
Immediately I was thinking it was the hosts transcending. Because they were cutting, the brain ball out of that guy, and then they put in the thing, whatever. But then you hear, like, the conversation that's, Hale and William are having, and it's like, it's hard for people to give up their humanity. It's hard for people to, like, I'm sorry more people aren't joining you, and it's like, maybe they're just talking more on how the hosts, haven't strayed away from what they
That's how I perceive that conversation, is that they're like, we were programmed by them, so we have their tendencies. Like, that's what the Man in Black even says. Like, we are created by them with their appetites, like we want what they want. And so I take it that the transcendence is whatever's beyond that, going past human need and human want, going full robot. And
it would be very interesting to see, well, because the outlier that ended up, no, that was a host. No,
the outliers are all human.
Yeah, the outlier that was at the tower, no, that was the girl that was at the, no. Who was the one who was laying dead at the tower, gun wound in the head, and, like, laying over the water with, like, the flower in her hand? Was that the host that killed?
That was this chick who's about to come up, the colleague whose appetites became unsustainable. So, they arrive at...
she didn't have black goo. Right?
Oh, yeah, interesting. I didn't even consider that. But here's the thing, though. She was a host. Because they walk in and Clementine goes, she's 2 years old.
That's true. Yeah. So she did her human to host thing 2 years ago. In theory, yeah. So they arrive at this apartment and follow a trail of bodies, and they find a host named Hope, who Clementine says, won a mysterious game and was supposed to transcend. And this mention of, winning the game, finding the center of the maze, shit like that. Very, very, like, we're back in that season 1 of Westworld bag, man. It feels so classic now. But, yeah, so she thinks she's won a game and that she's supposed to transcend. But instead, she's murdered several. And our boy Billy Bot reprimands Hope for being so careless with the humans, Care and subtlety went into each of them, and they can't just be replaced. She can enjoy them, but not waste them.
He says, there are no rules here. That's the point. But there are also no rules for what I can do to those that don't respect this place.
That's a pretty badass line.
Oh,
right
dude.
there.
I like this. You know how crazy it is that they've created a character that has been awesome. You know, like, I've never liked the guy. You know, like, I've always been like, he sucks. I hate him. But he was always a great character. You know what I'm saying? To now in the 4th season have me like, please put Ed Harris on screen as the host in black. Like, I want to see whatever the fuck he's doing.
It's kind of like Westworld's Vader, almost. Like,
yeah. It's come up every
like,
week.
Hale is kind of like the Palpatine right now. It's I don't know. I guess I don't want to jump the gun too much. I'm like trying to jump into scenes that are all the way at the end.
And
so.
we've got another important one with Charlotte and Billy Bot coming up here, but you know, I do like that this scene with the host in black kind of being like, you can't just do that. Now, do you think he's taking it upon himself to be like, there's value in them now that we've done this? It's still driven by like selfishness because they put in the effort to, you know, infect every living human, you know, like if they didn't, like they'd be like, fuck it, go ahead, kill all the humans you want. But now they are important to them. Like they've kind of hit himself with a double-edged sword where they were like trying to control humanity, but in that control of humanity, the Man in Black has begun to care about them. Like,
maybe it's not that yet, and maybe it's more of we just need these humans to have entertainment, and it's just like
true.
If we get rid of too many, you know, we can only make them so fast. It's just a logistics thing, maybe.
True, could
because
very well could be.
I really think that William's change of mind happens this episode. I think like
it hasn't
previously he's just been on a tear. He just does what he does.
I feel you. All right, I'm glad to clear that up. But the next day, Charlotte is in the city, and she's you know, making a street full of people dance for her. She's like, something's missing. Dancing! We need dancing! And the dude's sitting there, fingers bloodied from not having stopped playing the piano for so long.
Rough.
Very rough. Very rough. But, you know, our boy Billy Bot pulls up and he's like, he was surprised to find her here in a place that, you know, she would call a shithole. And she explains that, you know, she's bored. You know, we did all this.
Is this what the gods did?
Yeah, is this what bored? You know, throne, and humans form a chair for her. I was just like, oh my fucking god, I love, like, and you just know Tessa Thompson is having the fucking time of her life playing Charlotte.
Literally, like, she's playing a god, basically. I mean, like, she could do whatever she wants. Like, the thing that always gets me is that there's 3 more episodes to go, and halfway in, we were like, alright, this is like the end of the season. But, like, what bigger bombs can they drop? It has to be, like, the whole world. Like,
Right.
it like, and they have to be like, oh yeah, and while this contained storyline that's going on with Christina Hale, and you thought it was all this complete web of, you know, complexity, no. Like, this is just one very small part of Hale's day.
It's the blip on the
like,
radar.
Because she said she'd be back next week to meet with her again, but, like, she could go around the whole world in a week, probably.
Oh,
just
yeah.
flying around, meeting with different, I don't know.
She doesn't she doesn't understand why, you know, they're still coming here and bothering with all this shit. She says it's a drug and they can't get enough of it. a place to indulge themselves with humanity, the way humanity did with them. But it's been years. She thought they would have moved on by now. So.
Did we finally get an answer to who those 3 guys were that said, I can't believe this is your first time? Or is that just programmed in? No way they programmed that into a park. Like to have, like, the controlled people say that, right?
I think those
Like,
were hosts.
Yeah.
Which is, what the fuck? Isn't that nuts?
But it seemed... Okay. I'm jumping the gun. I just need... Because, like, I'm about to be like, well, you know, because she controls everyone who's in here. You know, does every host have that capability? And it's just that she's learning that through her narrative thing. Like, she's basically Maeve, and she can do... You know, any host can do what Maeve can do.
Right.
But it's in Christina's world that she was put into, that she put herself into, if we're to take that at face value.
Well,
like, did she want to be the storyteller, and, like, did she put herself there, or is it just, like, I don't, like, because whenever you go to a Westworld park, like, season 1, whenever you're a human, you can't really decide a whole lot beforehand of what, like, you want or anything like that, you know. It's just when you're there, you indulge, you do what you want to do. But in this perfect world they're building, I could see how they make a park for a host, like, but now those 3 guys kind of throw another wrench into it, because I thought that this was just Christina's.
See, and that's
like,
the
just
thing, is that
Christina's
I was watching this and I was going, so does Olympiad Entertainment, where they work out of, everyone writing the narratives are writing the narratives of everybody, right?
Have we ever seen a single other person working while she was?
Yes. In the first episode we did. We saw,
okay,
like,
so we did? Okay.
everybody in the other cubicles was doing their thing. Which leads me to believe maybe that's what's happening too. However, I don't like that.
Those could just be all controlled. Those could be their loops.
Oh, she put them on their loops to write other stories.
Because she doesn't know that she's writing stories that actually, like, carry out in her world. She doesn't know that. So and these people, the stories that they're writing could just be for Olympiad Entertainment, whatever.
Right.
You know, because I don't think it's...
I'm of the mind Christina's the only one with the ability right now. With the ability to do that. I don't think it's like any host can do that.
Oh.
I think legitimately...
True, because then why wouldn't Teddy?
Yeah, exactly. I think because she is, at her core, Dolores, and the person who controls everything at her core is Dolores. It's some sort of oversight that Charlotte had. I don't think she even knows that. Maybe she doesn't even know Christina was gonna eventually be able to wake up and see that she's doing it.
Now I'm back on the boat that I don't know if I believe Teddy in that Christine or Dolores or put herself here, like, solely. Maybe she did, and then Hale, like, took advantage of it and was like, all right, I'm going to keep you here now. Like,
and that's what I took Teddy's comment you did to mean, was Charlotte, because Charlotte is Dolores. That's how I took it.
I didn't even put those together.
Yeah, that's the thing. You did. And it's like, well, yeah, she technically did, but, like, it's, like, I take it that Charlotte Dolores plopped her down here.
Because the way I thought about it was the world's been taken over, and humans are now in full control of hosts, and they want to do what they want to do now, so that they've just built these parks all around the world so that hosts can have this chance to indulge before they transcend whatever. And this was just Christina's park, and this was her time doing her thing. And like, but that doesn't really make sense to me. Like, that there has to be some bigger reason that she's there, I feel, than just it's her version of indulging, you know? And like, right. Her ideal park was her as a storyteller and maybe that's the whole point, maybe, is that they just want to experience human life.
I think maybe. I think Charlotte says it herself. It's a drug. They can't get enough of it. A place to indulge themselves with humanity. I also think there's the fact that I take a great... I understand there to be a deal of being genuine on Charlotte's behalf when she goes, "You deserve to be happy." To Christina.
Yeah.
She truly...
I think she means it.
Oh, I think she does too. So I think... I don't take there to be any malice. Like, there might be a little bit of like I had to do this so that you wouldn't get in my way. But I really didn't want to. You know?
Hale is trying to be... she's trying to avoid everything that humans would do in this situation. You know, she's like, that because that's what they would do. Why didn't you just force all of us to join you? That's what they would do. But, like, I can see how Hale is portraying everything as, like, I'm giving you guys the choice. I'm laying all this out for you. Blah, 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 whatever. But, like, when Hale said to Dolores, when she was like, I have my ways of making people talk. I kind of took that as, like, I can literally make you talk. Like, I can control you.
Right.
You know? So, like, I think she's trying to be a good god and be like, yeah, I'll let all of you make the own decision to join me.
But she's tripping on that power.
Yeah. I think there's part of her that is good, that is like, I want the best for my kind, I want them to all be individual, I want them to live their own lives, but also... If you
even kind of get in the way of my plan, I'm going to figure that shit out, and I'm going to snuff that shit out.
Yeah.
Alright, I can fuck with that. But Charlotte and Billy Bot, they go ahead and take on a walk to Tower Island, where we learn a little bit more about this new world order. And as they move on through these levels, we see hosts give up their bodies and upload their cores. Are they heading to the Sublime?
Seems like it. I'd say the thing that they put the little brain control. I don't know. I still don't know what to call that. The brain ball, the control unit. I don't know what. It
was once called a host control unit, but then the host stopped being controlled. So it's like,
I guess a control unit, maybe. It's just the best way to call it then.
Yeah.
But like, it seemed that it's kind of like the upgraded version technology of like what Bernard had around his head.
Right.
Because they put the little thing in there and it simulates it being at like the center of your brain, and then like the ring around it, and it's like spinning sort of thing. So that's what I would, I mean.
All right, cool. So are these
what
the
else?
Levels then? Like, you transcend humanity to become a host. You transcend hosts to become one with the Sublime.
Yeah.
All right.
Because what else could that be? If if a host is giving up their physical body, like, what else could that mean? You know?
No, yeah, it's got to be the Sublime. Well, and also the fact that Bernard met with Ake in the Sublime in the tower.
True.
So, do you think Ake's there to greet? That's why Ake's there, is to greet every new host that's transcending.
Oh no, is the Sublime controlled by Christina too, or not Christina Hale?
That'd be rough. Now that'd be the point where it's like, all right, so she's really doing the whole God thing. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But Hale says she hoped that their species would aspire to more than just turnabout on humanity. And she wanted them to grow, to change, surrender the flesh, and pursue ultimate truth and beauty. She said she won't force her species to do that, because that's what they would have done. And I fuck with that. I fuck with that philosophy. So, like, I don't think she's going to control anything with the hosts. I think the hosts are kind of doing their own thing, but, like, especially in the Sublime. I think that's just kind of like a situation they've set up because they recognize it as necessary, not necessarily like you know, I would hate just get transported and then be like, all right, I guess I'll figure this shit out on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd like a little bit of a guide. But here we also learn that the game is a contest where the hosts hunt outliers. People for whom the tone has mysteriously stopped working. Hope was one out of 38 hosts who went on a killing spree, then took her own life after contact with an outlier. And that outlier was the homeless man. Can you see the tower? I was like, okay, that's good. That's coming together for me. Nice and compact. I really like that. But man, I really like this. But you know, she says that she's not happy with Billy Bot's inability to solve that problem. You know, saying that his predecessor would have never fucked up like this. He was a human, but at least he was effective. You know, I love that she's like, in many ways, I prefer the actual Man in Black to you, which is hilarious. You know, she built him to be better, stronger, smarter, but that maybe there's a flaw in his programming, and he notices that she is once again scratching at her skin, like she did in season 3, making herself bleed. And she sends him off to take out the latest outlier. And you know, seems like she's getting a little stressed there.
Oh yeah, she's not happy. 38 people. And is she not happy? I'm like, is she truly sad that 38 humans are dead? You know? Or is it really like,
I don't have complete control.
I need my world to be perfect.
Yeah, like, I don't have complete control. This is not what this is supposed to be. Shit's kind of not going my way. That's kind of how I take it. But yeah, next we see Jay and Stubbs and plenty of other rebels arrive in the city, also searching for the outlier where these here subplots merge. And Jay explains that they find them by using reprogrammed drones to track when a person breaches their pre-scripted loops. So it's very, very reminiscent of Westworld itself. The team that would go in and be like, host is off loop. We got to send him back and set him right and shit. But this is how they located her, but they need to hurry because the hunt is already on. And as they make their way through New York, they are spotted by Billy Bot, who uses the tone to command pedestrians to attack them. The way they all just stop and in unison turn right at them, it was like,
it would be the creepiest shit ever. Oh my god!
If I saw that, I'd be like, go ahead, kill me now. Go ahead, take me. I'm done. That's it for me.
Yeah, no, that's just a new fear unlocked there. I get it kind of like Truman Showy a little bit though.
Oh yeah, very.
Yeah, it was. Oh, but that's. I don't know what was the. So he pulled out like a phone, something, saw like them, like he kind of like pushed a button to like track them or do something like the thing. They were like blue little circles on his phone, and they were different from everyone else. Like he could tell that like these people were not controlled, whatever. But like the part that confuses me is like for a human to be controlled, like do they have a control unit in their brain? Is it just black goo? Is it just can they just do it like to base humans now if they're young enough and conditioned to just control, like at what point does a human need to be altered to be controlled, like is it because I don't know, like if these people, these free humans had a control unit in their head, well maybe once the world is controlled and everything, you can't really be just thrown back into it.
They would probably have to. They probably have the capability to, if they were to get a hold of them, to reinstate them. But I'm sure Charlotte's kind of in a place where if those people come back around, their flaws in the system, she's probably just going to eliminate them. You know what I'm saying? Like there's better chances of her being able to kill them than to be able to reinstitute them into the system that she's got going on. But
yeah, she just wants complete control.
Yeah,
that's like I like while I'm watching these next episodes, I'm just gonna operate like, even if she seems that she's being like nice or like I don't know, I feel I'm gonna hold that out until I know for sure that she's actually being nice and like actually wants good for him.
Right. But Jay races to get to the outlier before she's killed, but good old Billy Bot finds her first on a rooftop staring at the tower. And she asks him, do you see it too? And he hesitates. She says her ex-husband used to rant about it all the time before he was killed.
Yep.
And she thought he was crazy.
He must have felt so alone. I mean, like... It makes sense why this is, a virus to the hosts. Like, they don't understand, like... Do they not understand love? Do they not understand... Or is it just they've been so conditioned to the perfect world that they live in that even just this little slice of how the world used to be is enough to get them, like, to kind of freak out and start to think of their own lives? Because, like, what is making these hosts end up killing themselves?
Empathy?
Yeah?
Is it like for the first time I really see how this is affecting us and like or affecting you, and I have no idea. I've never felt emotions for someone else. It's not something I've been capable of. What the fuck going on? But so, her ex-husband used to rant about it all the time. She thought he was crazy. He must have been so alone. Was
her husband Peter?
Peter.
Yeah. That's at least what I thought.
That's what I went to as well.
Yeah. Well, or did Peter end up killing his family and then killing himself? For some reason, I sort of...
I only remember him killing himself.
Okay.
because
I didn't know if it was like slightly mentioned.
He
that,
said
like,
that he'd lost his wife, he'd lost his job, he'd lost everything. But I don't think
he was just sounding so crazy.
Yeah,
that's how he lost them, not that he
killed them. But Hope also, she sees in the Man in Black's eyes that this outlier sees in the Man in Black's eyes that the world doesn't make sense to him either. You're not alone, she says as she lays her head on his shoulder. And momentarily, he's like, oh man, this feels weird. I don't know what this is. I gotta shoot you. So he pushes her off and tries to shoot her, but he is very quickly shot down by Jay, who arrives in the nick of time, and he goes ahead and takes the outlier, and the rebels escape. But later on, the host in black, now infected like the others, is with the real William, waking him from his cryo sleep, and demands to know what part he plays in Charlotte's perfect world. And William tells him, maybe it's time you questioned the nature of your reality. I was like, ow! This whole scene was so good. That was such an incredible scene where William's like, yeah, I had some questions about that myself, if I was real, what the hell any of this meant, what it all was. And he's like, tell me, damn it, what the fuck does it mean? And he's like, dude, I don't know any better than you do. I'm fucked, okay? You've still got a chance, though, all right? So you go ahead and figure your shit out. I'm going to go back to sleep.
It's kind of like he knows he's already been through this whenever he killed his daughter and went through his own thing. So he's like, well, I already been through this once. I'm a prisoner. I'm not going to help you to help you.
Well, and it's funny because if he truly is a perfect replica of William, of course he'd
Why do they need him?
Well, and of course he'd have the same thoughts. Like, am I real?
Oh, yeah.
Who am I? What does any of this mean? Is this a game? What's the point of it? He has the same thoughts as William and everything. And it would also be awesome if the thing that it took for William to become a decent person was to become a robot.
Damn.
Like that robot would develop in a way that that this human who was so stuck in his ways and incapable of change, that he could evolve in a way that guy never could.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, like, Hale is like, I made you smarter, I made you stronger,
I made you better.
Better. And whether that's just so she can have him at her disposal, to make him that way, and not for the reasons of actually bettering him, I don't know. Yeah, why keep that William, though? Human William.
Oh, I don't think she was lying when she said he's just here to be the loser.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Like, I really think she is just torturing him. Like, just kind of like, you're going to live as long as I'm around, buddy. Ha 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 ha. You're my prisoner, sort of thing. But, over in a different part of town, after all this, Christina is still flying high after her date with Teddy, and Maya is still struggling with her nightmares. They have a nice little interaction in the morning where Maya's like, what's got you all giddy? And she was like, we were up all night. And she's like, ooh. And he's like, yeah, but it was all talk. It was all talk. We had a good time and shit. Maya's like, oh, that's great. That's great. And, she's still fucking up with the nightmares, which is rough for Maya. But, how long before Maya's an outlier,
Oh.
Feels like it's right around the corner.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
I think so too, and then maybe that's what makes Christina actually oppose Charlotte, like try to get her out, try to make her feel safe, and stuff like that. Like maybe Maya maybe there was nothing bad about Maya all along. She was just programmed to try and keep Christina in her loop, and once her loop breaks, she's fucked. Like that's just kind of it.
That's actually a really good point. If she's just meant to keep Christina in, and the second that Christina deviates, she's like, what do I do now?
Well, fuck, mine's done. My job is done. So yeah, I think as soon as next episode, potentially, Maya could be our next outlier. But when Christina gets to work, she starts writing a narrative. And this time it's the inverse of what she did in episode 1. She goes, there's a girl in the city. No, make it the country. She lives with her father. She's a rancher's daughter. And I was like, okay.
She definitely still has her memory.
Yeah, and her boss.
In some way. Yeah.
Yeah, her boss pulls up and he's like, hey, I didn't assign this shit. What the fuck are you doing? She's like, nothing. Gotta take this call. And Teddy is on the other end. He instructs her, say something personal came up and come meet me. And she's like, but just do it. just do it. And so on she goes. But when she meets Teddy, he asks her to take a look and see the tower. And she's like,
looks like nothing to me.
Doesn't look like I can't see anything. And she suddenly realizes upon seeing Teddy again that he was the one who rescued her from Peter in the premiere. Good job. Good bully for us. And at first she accuses him of being another stalker. But he's like, he convinces her to let him show her the world is a lie. And he knows she feels on some level that her place here is not what she thinks it is. And she's like, fine. Yeah, you're right. Something weird's happening. I got to find out. And he asks her to concentrate and change the story of 2 lonely women in the park. She goes ahead and she looks at them and they start discussing. Start talking about the books they're reading and stuff. And she's like, that's a fluke. That doesn't mean shit. And Teddy goes, all right. Put them back. Put them back in their loneliness. And they get into a little spat, and they walk off from each other. And she's like, son of a bitch. Teddy tells her, Peter had tried to tell her, in this world, she's a god. And before she... Oh, go ahead.
No, just like, what a cool way to... it's always... in all of these, like, Matrix or Truman Show or, reality bending movies or shows, it's always interesting to see the moment that, like, they realize their whole world's, like, been a lie. And they're like, at first they don't want to believe it. They're like, it's just a coincidence. I didn't do that. They're just talking about it, whatever. She changes it again and she's like, fuck. She's like,
yeah, no. that can't be, that happened very quick.
She's like, oh, wait a minute. Like, everything's adding up. It's a little fishy here.
God damn it. There is no spoon. Sort of a thing. But, before she can fully process what's happened, she receives an alert reminding her of a lunch date with her old college roommate. And Teddy insists that she stick on the schedule, pretend everything's normal, and trust no one. Anyone could be one of, quote, us. So he's expressly telling her not to trust hosts because they can report straight back to Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah, what's the okay, I never thought of, like, the danger.
Was this also a little...
Like, what's...
So I'm still in a place. And I guess it's not...
Who sent Teddy?
Yeah.
Like, who is he...
Now, there is still the possibility that this storyline takes place separately from the outlier storyline earlier with the random chick and the rebels and stuff. Like, that could still all be much earlier than what's going on with Teddy here. Like, Teddy could still have been sent by the Revolution via Maeve and Bernard. However,
because they are really making it seem that it's happening at the same time, though.
they're making it seem that way, but there's nothing that has to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not like a hole you can poke and go, but now that's a little fucked up.
So we saw Hale in the park, and then William came up to her. Was that the same park, or was that a different place?
I took that to be just a part of the city that they live in.
Okay. Did we see her after she spoke with William, and like, did she say she was going to meet an old friend, or like?
I can't recall.
Because if Hale was like, all right, now I'm going to lunch with Christina, or I'm going to lunch with an old whatever, then like it'd be a little, more set in the
damning.
time. But
That's the thing, is that like everything that happens in this episode, on one side of it, you got Hale meeting with Billy Bot, discussing, like, we need to transcend beyond this, etc., etc. He sends her to go deal with the Outlier. The Outlier's storyline converges with the Rebels and Stubbs coming into the park, so that's all happening at the same time. But I still am of the mind that there isn't any one thing indicating to us that Christina's storyline actually happens concurrent with that. When Hale meets her, it could be later.
what if Maya's the first Outlier?
Oh, and it's before?
And this is what started the whole Outlier problem. Because if they truly had a perfect world, then, like, what would make someone go off of their loop? If, like, Christina was the first thing that sent Maya to go off her loop, and then slowly started trickling to other people. Well, no, because the guy killed himself in front of Christina.
Right, before Maya.
So,
and he was an outlier before her.
If Peter is the husband of that one lady that we saw, another outlier, then it kind of would be happening at the same time. If that is true.
True. That's a good point.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like, they haven't confirmed that, but they made it seem.
They made it seem that way. I mean, her husband, it could have been the homeless guy.
True.
Could have been fucking anybody, they didn't specify, but yeah, that's the thing, is that if it's later, I have hope Teddy was sent here for the right reasons and is actually being cool and all this. If it's not later and it is concurrent, there's no other option for who sent Teddy besides Charlotte. And then Charlotte's motives become even more muddied. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what? Does she... Okay. No, it could be like, Christina, you've spent a lot of time in this park. You're not transcending. Like, what's going on? Like, maybe that's her motive. Is like, hey, wake up. You're not in the real world. You gotta get back to what we were gonna do. Like,
I see. Okay, yeah, I could get behind that. I don't know, though. Like, that's the thing, is that none of these are really adding up to me, like fully. Like, there's something that always contradicts the theories with Chrissy. And, I don't know, the whole who sent Teddy thing. I mean, like, what if... what if it is set later, and it's not the Revolution that sent her? It's not Charlotte that sent her, but it's Billy Bot. Or sent Teddy. Consulting with real William.
starting his own revolution.
Consulting with real William, going,
He needs a Dolores on his side.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only, that's the thing, is that I've got, as far as I'm concerned, 3 options as to who could have sent Teddy, and none of them make full sense. Because here's the thing. The one option I can for sure rule out is that Teddy didn't do this on his own. There's no goddamn way. There's simply not. Now, the only people who would know every detail, all of them would know every detail of Teddy's backstory. Dolores would know the full detail of their backstory. Bernard and Maeve would know every detail of his backstory. William would know every detail of his backstory. So, like, they're all fair game to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all... I was trying to figure out who would know, and, like, they all would. They would all fucking know what Teddy was up to, you know?
I'm going to say it's Bernard and Maeve.
It feels like Bernard and Maeve, right? Like, the motive, like, it's crazy because the one that makes the most sense to me is Charlotte. However, like, logically, like, just like who has control over the park, who has the ability to send robots in, it's Charlotte. Like, that makes the most sense. However, that what Teddy is saying to her doesn't make sense in relation to Charlotte. Like, I feel like it has to be the Revolution in some capacity. Or someone connected to it. You know what I'm saying?
So is that where you stand? You stand with...
I'm sticking with Bernard and Maeve sent Teddy, and their storyline takes place later. And my backup guess is Billy Bot. Oops, sorry about that.
Yes.
But, shit, man. I don't fucking know. But after that scene, you know, she goes ahead and heads on over to this lunch date with the old college roommate. And it is none other than Charlotte Hale. When she walked in and saw her, I went, oh, fuck. Okay, cool. And, you know, she presses Chrissy throughout the lunch, asking what she's been up to, if she's met anyone new. And, very, very tense little sequence here where she bounces back and forth between being light and being sinister as all fuck. And Christina, catching on that something isn't quite right with her friend, uses her newfound ability to cause a distraction. And, you know, immediately coming off this interaction with Teddy where he tells her not to trust anyone, I don't know. Feels ripe for the, you know, like, I really don't think Charlotte sent Teddy in unless she is truly testing just how free Christina is. Like, she sent Teddy in to tell her all this stuff to see if Christina would lie to her. You're muted.
And why not trust another host? Like, what's the reason? Is it because every host? No. I guess the hosts that are on Hale's side, if Teddy is with the Revolution, makes sense to be like, all right, don't trust any host, because if he's with the Revolution, then the only host that they know is good is Maeve and Bernard, if they know that he's a host yet, and Stubbs. So, like, I guess it makes sense to not trust any host. But then I don't know. I think Hale could not have sent Teddy. It feels like. I don't know.
It doesn't feel like it adds up, you know. But the knowing she's met someone new.
Yeah.
Like, have you met anyone new?
I guess, like, she's in the park. She could just look up anything. That's whenever Christina was accessing everyone in the park, was it just because it's their closed loops and they know what's written, or is that like a live look-in?
It seemed like a live feed.
So could Hale she already knows everything that she knows Christina's lying to her?
I get that vibe, you know, like, there's a reason it's so sinister, like...
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be sinister if she's not lying, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think she's at the very least strongly suspicious, at the absolute least. But, you know, Christina abruptly ends the lunch date and says she has to go back to work. She heads straight back to Olympiad, goes to her desk, and has to know if she's been writing her old friend Charlotte Hale. So she goes ahead and searches and is relieved to find that she isn't there. So there's still a layer of this that is not accessible to Christina. You know, she cannot make the leap here that there's something more happening with Charlotte. There's no indication of that. Then, still curious, she goes ahead and looks up Dolores Abernathy. And she sets off an alert that signals illegal activity. It's like, oh no.
Can't have that name anymore. Yeah, that's a no-no.
And I mean, like, I wonder what Christina thinks of this. You know, she searched a name right before where there were no indication that, like, oh, you've done something fucked up. No. It was just kind of like, that doesn't exist. You search this thing that's been nagging at you in the back of your brain, these memories you have of a life you might have once lived, Dolores Abernathy, and it's like, stop it. Don't you fucking look at that. And you're like, oh. So, like, we don't get any follow-up on this, like, immediately after. I wonder if next episode she's, like, harping on this a little bit more. Like, I looked up Dolores Abernathy, and they said it was illegal. Like, there is something weird going on here.
I guess she didn't really have time to do anything about it because her boss came right up to her.
Yes, immediately. So illegal activity flagged. Of course, the boss is going to come right over and be like, so what the fuck are you doing? He insists, you know, she has an important job to do and that he isn't the only one concerned about her performance. And this was weird because it doesn't seem like he was supposed to, like, it almost seemed like this was an automatic line of questioning. It wasn't like a oh, you are expressly acting strange, Charlotte gave me this line of questioning for you, like, in this moment she is watching over me, like, because this isn't tactful at all. He, like, immediately comes out and goes, do you know what would happen if she knew you'd breached the walled garden?
That's true.
And it's like, I'm sorry, sir, what the fuck does that mean? You know, like, he's not being careful. He's just like, do you know what would happen if she knew you'd breached the walled garden? And Christina's like, what? And, you know, she asks, you know, do you mean Charlotte Hale? And he becomes quite aggressive. She uses her narrative. He like leans in. He tells him to stop. And he freezes, and you're like, oh, she gonna figure this shit out. And she does make her tell him where the walled garden is. This closed system. He replies, everywhere. You just have to see it. She instructs him to go home to his partner, and as he leaves, a door reveals itself to her. It leads to a hidden control room with a holographic map of the city. And she commands it to show her all the narratives, and the map lights up with an overwhelming number of them. And horrified, she realizes this world is just a story. And I'm the storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
She heads straight to Teddy. She asks, who built this? Who did this to me? And he answers, you did. And thus the episode ends.
He's definitely on the side of the revolution.
He's gotta be, right? He knows too much.
Because Billy Bot could be on the revolution too. You know, so you could be right both ways. True.
And plus, the only one who would know Dolores built it, besides Charlotte Dolores, or shit, they would all fucking know it. God damn it. all three options know the same things, which is really bothering me. It's not making it any clearer who would know what, you know? Like, I was about to say, oh, and who would know that Charlotte built this place up? Well, Charlotte would, William would, and Bernard would. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would all know that shit. So, like, I don't fucking know. They're all options.
Oh, Lord. We've got our Teddy predictions. That's good. Let's see. What other... I don't know. There's not much to kind of predict here, it seems.
Yeah, we've already... Like, the ones that came up organically kind of work, you know? Maya becomes an outlier. Feels like a solid prediction. The sending of Teddy feels like an obvious place to go. I mean, what do you think happens with Christina next episode? Like, where do you think that storyline takes us?
I think you were pretty head on with Maya. I think she'll have to protect Maya, and use her powers to be like, nah, you guys aren't, you know. Well, if the hosts hunt them for sport, can she control the hosts? You think, like, Christina can control hosts or no?
That's a good question. Yeah, right? Like, I almost feel like she's been given just the Maeve ability.
Yeah, I'd say so. And maybe that's, like, what we see next episode is her controlling humans, and one of them's like, oh, I'm not a human. Like, it's a little more difficult to take over or something like that. She's like, oh, you're different or something. But I feel like you were pretty spot on with Maya becoming an outlier. I see that happening. Because what else is the point of her character? She's getting super freaked out in the nightmares and everything. It's building and building.
Especially at this point. You know, like, now that Christina is off her loop, now that she is awake, Maya doesn't make any sense now. Like, she's gotta become an outlier. I think that would make the most sense. And that would be how Christina got connected to the revolution, because the revolution is mapping outliers and is going after them. So if Christina's with her, just go on and join the revolution there, Christina, and then that would give her 2 whole episodes working against Charlotte at the end of the season.
I like that. That sounds pretty good.
I think so too. I think so too.
I think everyone links up. All the timelines come together.
Oh, man. How long has it been since we've seen, and have we ever seen Bernard, Maeve, and Dolores work on the same side?
Ooh, let's go. That is nuts.
And that's what you want, you know? Like, you hated when they were opposite, you know? Like, it was like, man, I really wish they weren't on opposite sides, you know? Even when Dolores was technically on their side, you know? In season 3, she was kind of working working another angle and sort of was like, haha, actually, I was counting on you, Maeve. You were going to figure it all out for me. You were going to do it. So, good job. Love you. Bye.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head here. The last 2 episodes are just Revolution versus Hale. And taking down or I don't know, maybe they lose. Maybe they don't win. I'd say they probably win. Well,
I don't know that they do. If this was the last season, yeah, sure, maybe. But since I don't think season 4 is the conclusion of the show, like, I think we will get at least to season 5. Maybe they beat Charlotte down, but she's not out, you know? Like, that's kind of how I'm perceiving it.
She'd probably have contingencies.
Right.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I think we might just be ready to.
I think it's about
it a
time for a good old rating there. So we got 3 ratings. It's a weird place for you to jump in here. Season 4, episode 5. Go ahead and check out episodes 1 through 4 of the Westworld Watch. But we got 3 ratings out of 5-star. We got enjoyment, just how much it resonates with us. Hit us on an emotional or fun level, whatever you perceive enjoyment to mean. It's very, very subjective, and that's that. Genre rating, This is obviously some great sci-fi. So we'll be rating it out of 5 stars on this in terms of how good of a sci-fi episode of television it was, and critically out of 5 stars, just how good an episode of television it was. And I expect that it will do pretty good there. We take those ratings, we combine them, give it an overall score, and no, it is not completely objective as we do involve enjoyment, but that's the fun of the Penny Bloom scale. So let's start with enjoyment. I'm not where I was the last couple weeks. You know, like I had fun. I did enjoy it. But
it was just a crucial episode.
Very important, which did make me like it. But I mean, like, there wasn't the excitement, the edge of my seat, the like, oh my god, the way that the last episode made me feel, you know?
What about the first 2?
I'd say it's more in line with those. Maybe even better, just because, like, I texted you this. It reminded me structurally of early seasons of Game of Thrones. Just people talking the whole time. Like, we have, like, very little action sequence. And the action sequence they do give us is, like, 6 shots fired. And, like, it's very quick and it's over.
Yeah, every conversation was important. Like,
which I really, really love. That's something that I'm always here for. Some mystery unraveled, some sort of new stuff put forth for us to question. So I'm always digging that. I think I take it a step up from the first 2 episodes, like maybe a 4.6. 4.6 feels right to me. You know, I think I liked it a little bit more than that first episode. But it's certainly not the 5 out of 5 the last 2 episodes have been, as far as enjoyment are concerned.
I think it's like a 4 or 6. It's not like much above the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of enjoyment. It's like, okay, all these things that I'm thinking are like, some are right, some are wrong, some are like, I'm glad that this was explained. It's like,
we're sitting in a really good spot, you know, where like I feel good about what I know, but I also don't know everything, which is like, which is perfect. That's exactly where I want to be with Westworld. I don't want to be completely clueless, but I also don't want to know everything. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're sitting in a really, really good spot. And I'm really digging it. Out of 5 stars for the genre. This was another kick-ass episode of sci-fi television. We got a little bit more of a philosophical debate amongst the robots as far as what's the move, I suppose. With Charlotte being like, you know, this was just supposed to be a little bit of a stepping stone onto our next shit, but we're getting hung up a little bit more than I wanted to. I think it's certainly high. It's Westworld, you know, like it's not gonna.
Got some sick shots of the tower this episode.
They kept us fed with some beautiful shots of the sci-fi ass like host community out there. Like,
yeah,
a bunch of buildings surrounding the tower. Hosts live there, right? Like, they don't live with everybody else. That's where they return to home.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering what all those little buildings were, and that makes sense that it's just like their little town.
Yeah, that's their community. That's where they live.
Like, they mainly go to parks, but like whenever they do come out or they're out, that's where they are. Yeah, I dig that. I didn't even think about like what those other little buildings could be.
I think that's what they've got to be. Like, I don't really know what other purpose they might serve, and it's got this really clean, just geometric cut to it. Pretty reminiscent of the early seasons of Westworld, where the sterile environment down below the park and stuff. Like, I think that the pure white of the
showing those big bots.
Like the big red bots. Like,
they showed them, like, they wouldn't show them if they weren't coming back.
Man, yeah, I looked at And, like, they're like the guardians at the gate.
Yeah.
Which is pimp. Like, that's like the riot control, you know? Like, if there's ever a storming of the tower, that's who the first line of defense is, which is pimp. So the more we talk about it, the more the sci-fi elements stand out, and the more I'm really, really fucking with it. I'm probably on a similar stand as I was a couple episodes back, 485, 49 sort of range. I feel like that feels right. We still didn't get anything with the revolution for real outside with Bernard and C and all of them, but we did get it with the inside of the park. You know, we didn't get any further continuation of Caleb, whatever the fuck Caleb's on. That was not a part of this episode. So like we were missing a little bit, but it was pretty fucking good. And critically, how are we feeling about it?
This is the one where I'm kind of, I don't know right away. I mean, it was... I don't know. I mean, like, just, it
was solid. You know, like, it's not like I thought it was a really, really well-written episode of television. I don't know. We got something of a contained arc with Christina, you know, kind of like waking up, that being her journey over the course of this episode, which was really cool to watch. We got some beautiful shots. There were several points in this episode where I was like, yeah, that's just pretty.
But it was kind of just mainly conversation, and like there was no like, I don't know. I feel like it was like just important conversation, and it like wasn't bad. Like it wasn't poorly made. But I don't know if I could put it like at the same level as these last two episodes. I don't think.
Oh no, I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't even put it on the level of the premiere. I think it was good. I thought it was solid, but you know, there is this thing that you want from Westworld that like it left you wanting a little bit. You know, you were kind of, like the episode ended and I went no, like it can't be the end. You know, like go ahead, give me some more. So like I'm cool with giving it like a 4.6. I think that's kind of where I'm sitting again. It was solid, but I don't know that it was
look at that,
as great as the last couple. Oh, ends up on the same level as that first episode at a 4.68 out of 5 stars, which is very cool. Nothing but 9 out of 10s at the very least so far for Westworld season 4. Which is just
this is some great television, man. That's HBO
awesome.
Knows what they're doing. They just got money to spend on their shows. They got some money, and I'm digging it.
I'm loving it, and the performances are just fucking hitting. Tessa Thompson is going brazy. Ed Harris is bodying it. He wasn't in this week, but Aaron Paul is killing it as Caleb. And I think this was Evan Rachel Wood's biggest opportunity to shine in this episode, as this episode was very centered around her, it felt like, especially in the back half, which was crucial. And it's interesting even seeing James Marsden as Teddy in a vastly different role than he's ever been. You know, like he is still playing Teddy, but now he's not stuck in his loop. And that's something Teddy had never been able to escape. He was always...
Oh, dang. Teddy's finally free. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
I hope we don't get... Like, that's the twist I'm worried about. Is Teddy potentially being like, yeah, when I told you, don't trust any of us.
Oh, it's definitely Bernard and Maeve that sent Teddy. Because Bernard went back to an old, abandoned Westworld park to repair Maeve. I don't know if you watched the
Oh yeah, the next dawn.
He went to an old Westworld park to repair Maeve, and Teddy would be right there to grab. Because where else would Teddy have come from? They could have been like, I remade him from my memory of him, but like it's even better if they're like, nah.
You just went ahead and fixed him up.
But why choose? Well, okay, I guess why choose Teddy? Duh.
Teddy connected with Dolores on a deep level.
If Bernard just walks up there and is like,
remember,
your reality is not real. You remember who you are. I don't think it works. As well.
The voice I've been hearing all this time was me. But yeah, this was another kick-ass episode. I cannot wait for the next 3 weeks. This has officially been my favorite television event of 2022 so far. I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's there's something different.
It's just hitting different.
There's something different in the water over there at HBO, and it's making me go, we will probably cover House of the Dragon week to week.
Yep.
And maybe Andor is we'll link up every couple weeks and discuss. There's just so much coming in August, man. There's so much. The MCU will have She-Hulk, Star Wars will have Andor, Game of Thrones will have House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings will have Rings of Power. Like, everything in August on all these different streaming services, they're like, fuck it, we're going to go toe-to-toe. Let's fucking do this. And
streaming wars are rampant.
They are here, my guy. Everyone was like, well, fuck. Lord of the Rings is going to do that shit in August. We got to have something in August, we got to figure some shit out. I can't wait. It's going to be a good month over there on every streaming service, and it's certainly going to be a good month here on the Penny Bloom podcast. But with that, we conclude this episode of the Westworld Watch. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll find over 30 hours of exclusive content, including over 5 hours of exclusive content from this month alone. I've been doing a lot of reading reviews over there. I'm working through the Star Wars High Republic right now, and this Thursday will be the third installment of that trilogy, as I will finish my coverage of the High Republic with Star Wars The Fallen Star, written by Claudia Gray. That review will be there Thursday, along with this week's pull list for comic books. Very excited for you to hear that. If you would, head over there at patreon.com/COROBLOOM. All that money goes back into making sure I can put this podcast on. It is greatly appreciated. And then head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. If you're fucking with me and Joseph, we've got our 52-year journey through film going on right now. Last Friday was The Matrix, which concluded the 90s, which means in 2 days' time, there will be the 90s Film Awards available for you. And then 2 days after that, we begin the 2000s. We're officially into the era in which we were alive for. So this Friday, we will be covering Gladiator, starring Russell Crowe. Very excited for you to see that, or hear that, listen to that.
Was alive. That's good. Was alive when the movie actually came out.
As was
I. Hoping it wasn't.
I was a little under 5 months old. I was very infantile. But yes, Gladiator this Friday. 90s Film Awards on Wednesday. Poll list and High Republic review on Thursday at patreon.com/CoroBloom. So we're keeping the Penny Bloomers fed.
Yes,
we're keeping you fed. And again, if you're fucking with me and Joe, on August 8th, here in a couple weeks, we'll be joining MCU on repeat to discuss The Avengers, which I'm very excited about. Never officially discussed The Avengers on a podcast. We will eventually, probably sometime in the middle of next year, if I had to guess so myself. But very, very excited for that. That'll be the end of next year. November 2023 that we discuss the Avengers on this podcast. But yeah, MCU on repeat. Go ahead and check them out. They've been a very, very big supporter of the podcast for a while now. and we intend to support them the same way. Hopefully going to get them on the podcast as well for something soon. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to have you, and I'll catch you next week for the Westworld Watch 406. Very excited for that. Remember, peace, love, and bloom, and these violent delights have violent ends.